All right, so hi everyone. My name is Haley. I'm a student assistant at the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub, and I also work with the National Student Data Corps. Today we have an amazing panel and session, the National Student Data Corps Data Science Student Panel, first of its kind that hosts 5 amazing students today. Your moderators are going to be Benji and I, so sit tight. We will start in about a minute. Okay, and it's the top of the hour. So welcome everyone to the April 2022 National Student Data Corps Data Science Student Panel. If you've been here before, you usually know this panel series as a career panel series, but we thought that it's really important to share the voices of students who are in and around data science for other students to learn more about, how they can leverage data science in their student paths. So the moderators today will be Benji and I, who both work at the National Student Data Corps under the National or the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub. And we have 5 amazing student panelists today. We have Bilal Abdulrahman, Jay Philbrick, Jiawei Liu, Jin Chen, and Sivan Ding. So with further ado, let's just get into the agenda. So I'm going to be giving a brief overview of the National Student Data Corps, who we are, what we're about. Then we'll jump right into a panel discussion. So Benji will be moderating this panel discussion, posing questions to the 5 panelists today. And then I'll tell you all a bit more about NSDC resources and opportunities that you can leverage, including the learner, educator, and career development resources, a little bit more about our NSDC chapters program, and our NSDC Inaugural Data Science Symposium, which is super exciting. Then we will jump right into an open Q&A. So for all of you, the attendees, to pose your own questions to the students to learn more about their data science journeys and kind of any advice or tangible insights that you want to learn more about. All right, so the NSDC is led by the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub. So the hub is a community convener and collaboration hub. We create and enable a network designed to fuel data science innovation through diverse and inclusive community partnerships, whether that's through academia, higher ed, K through 12, STEM programs, industry, nonprofit, really anybody who wants to be a part of a network of people in data science across the country and across the world. So as you can see illustrated, the hub has 4 main focus areas: education and data literacy, health, urban to rural communities, and responsible data science, security, privacy, and ethics. And the NSDC is the premier program under our education and data literacy. So it's events like this that kind of push the mission forward to create a community that cultivates data education and literacy. So you can access more information on each of these focus areas and their corresponding activities on our website at nebigdatahub.org/about. So now the NSDC. The NSDC was created as a community developed initiative. We wanted to foster a diverse data science community that started with the students and educators of data science. So last year we had over 20 people interested in creating the foundation of the NSDC, including researchers, professors, folks from industry, nonprofits, undergrad and grad students. And they really happen to make up the founding committee. So all the faces that you see on the screen are the people who kind of built this program from the ground up. And we organize the work done through NSDC's 3 different teams. So here we have content and pedagogy, the peer instructors team, and then the outreach team. And specifically the outreach team includes higher ed institutions, students interested in emerging with the NSDC, and governmental institutions that provide kind of real world data science applications. And this team is also responsible for helping with the data science career panel series. So the NSDC has grown tremendously. It was first known to us as the Northeast Student Data Corps. But over the year, we've kind of reached to an international expansion with over 2,600 members. So we started this out in February of 2021. And like I said, we've grown exponentially over the last year. Our members currently span the United States and 20 additional countries, as you can see on the global map, including Ecuador, Turkey, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Germany, the Philippines, and more. So please feel welcome to share the NSDC with friends and colleagues around the world, because everyone's welcome to join. And this month is actually a very special month. We're celebrating April as Community College Month. So in honor of Community College Month, the NSDC would like to highlight the great opportunities that community colleges provide and the community needs that they serve. Community colleges offer higher education to students and communities with fewer resources, offering an affordable and supportive education option for many learners. And the NEBD Hub is proud to have 36 community colleges in its network from 11 states in the United States. And we've even had students from Queensborough Community College facilitate our recent panels. So we look forward to continuing and growing these partnerships and inspiring more data scientists into the future from all breadths of life. And now I'd like to introduce our 5 student panelists. So first we have Bilal Abdulrahman, who is from the Graduate Center, City University of New York. We have Philbrick, who's from Brown University. Jiawei Liu, who's from City College of New York. Chen, also from the City College of New York. And Sivan Ding, who's from Columbia University. So I will pass over the virtual mic to Benji, who will be posing the first question to our 5 panelists.
Yeah, thank you very much, Haley. So we're gonna jump straight into the questions. And for the first question, each panelist would have 2 minutes each. And I would mention your name before you go. So we'll begin with Siwen. So please introduce yourself and tell us about your journey so far in data science and what makes you excited about data science.
Okay, thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Siwen, and I'm a Columbia student right now. I'm majoring in data science, and I'm in my first year in my graduate. So before I come to Columbia, I was doing engineering bachelor. Also, I'm a multi-instrumentalist. So that's why I am now focusing my academic and career goal on the intersection of music technology and data science. And my research project experience has been a journey from natural language processing to music information retrieval. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Great. So the next is Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a master's student in the data science engineer program at the City College. So my data science journey actually started with far back when I was a kid. I was really love to play in the number. So I started majoring in the mathematics when I entered the college. But at the end, I was like thinking like, what can I do with math? And which is no clear answer fine. So at the time that my friend introduced me in the computer science, so my interest had spread into the programming. And in the data science structure class, I met my professor, and then who influenced me to start this data science journey. So I started my first research project on the emotion recognition on the multimodal data, and that have met me the neuroscience professor to learn how the brain signal works. And this is very interesting because I was able to combine my math knowledge, the programming skill, and also the understanding for the brain signal data to obtain the interesting results. And then my goal of become the data science become more stronger with my internship in the WebMD. So during the internship, I was asked to develop a automated processor for handle the monthly update data and maintain over 40,000 URL through analyzing the data characteristic. And with that experiment, I was feeling the power of the data science. So it greatly simplified the test and also reduced the human error. And since then, I'll start pursuing my master in the data science and continue to develop this tool to satisfy people's needs.
Great, thank you, Jen. So the next would be Jiawei.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jiawei, and I'm a graduate student in the City College of New York. And my major is data science and engineering. I'm very happy to share my data science journey today here. And back to 2 years ago, and I started learn programming language, and I feel like I love to develop different kind of application. And after develop some like different various kind of application, I realized like a good application is not only about the good design or any like appearance or user experience or interface. It also care about like the core functionality. For example, if I look at a music app, I would expect like, can you recommend me a favorite song, maybe have the similar style like I usually listen to? But I asked myself, can I do that? Can I develop an application like this? So with this kind of mind, and I decided to look into the machine learning and deep learning and see if I can do something like that. And luckily, I can join the a research program to start a new research project about developing a web application to collect some useful information for the people with disability. And in that project, I learned a lot of handling big data, large scale data, and how to analyze those data. And since that, I was feel like, oh, that's really interesting. So I decided to apply for the master program and start my new journey in data science.
Great, thank you, Jiawei. Next is Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Philbrick. I'm a sophomore undergrad at Brown University, studying applied mathematics and computer science economics. Originally, my interests were a lot more around sort of public policy and economics. And I eventually got into, evaluating public policy and sort of trying to understand what policies would help particular groups more than others. And so I started realizing sort of the importance of data in that. I joined a research group in college and did sort of a data science challenge at my school, and eventually found out that I really loved it. And so I decided to delve a lot more into data science. I took an internship at the White House Council of Economic Advisors and with the Federal Reserve and the US Securities and Exchange Commission. All of those positions have used economic data to evaluate public policy. And they've included techniques like natural language processing and random forest and other approaches like that. And so right now I'm sort of focused on continuing to build my computer science skills, continuing to build my understanding of mathematics, and hoping to continue to really harness the power of data to better understand social science, better understand economics, and evaluate public policy.
All right, thank you, Jay. And next we have Bilal.
Hey everyone. Okay, so I'm a master's graduate, data science, and I'm restarting my PhD in the fall. So basically, I got to know about like this artificial intelligence, machine learning, and like I took an elective course, and like I was in like engineering school in undergraduate, and that got me really interested in this. So I wanted to like delve more into this. So I started doing research. Keep in mind, like I have like no previous computer science experience or stuff like that. So I started learning courses online, started putting up like projects on GitHub, and I started applying for internships. Like the problem was like there's no scope in the country I was in. So I was hopefully able to get one in like another, like Dubai. I was able to get an internship there. And then I really liked the internship. So I wanted to go in deeper and like learn more. So I applied for a master's in America as I was able to get it. And like when I was doing my master's, I realized like my strength was in research and like coming up with novel ideas and doing novel research. So I wanted to like pursue academia, and I switched my focus now. I'm like focusing on like research and stuff. So that's basically my journey so far. Yep.
All right, thank you, panelists. So we will be moving on to our next question, and each one of you would have about 3 minutes each, give or take. So would like you to describe a project of interest that you are working on or have worked on, leveraging data or data science. And for this question, we'll begin with Chen.
Sure. So the current project I'm actually working on now is an indoor navigation application for assisting the blind and visually impaired. So my mentor brought me this project about 2 years ago. The overall goal is to help a visually impaired user to explore and navigate the indoor place safely. The key point is to develop a low cost and effective solution. So the application will need to run in the smartphone. So the application actually involves a lot of things, including the computer version, augmented reality for the indoor localization, also data analyzed for the personalized path planning, and the data process and management through the multiple cloud servers, and of course the obstacle detection model. But the real key challenge is not to developing the application itself, but understanding the user's need and how can we deliver our application to the actual user. So I went through this National Science Foundation I-Core program with my team to do customer discovery. So we talked to the visually impaired user and also the building manager, construction team, the government agency, and the nonprofit organization, basically everyone that could be involved in this ecosystem. So this customer discovery journey actually expand our mind. So we have to pivot our application to adapt to the commercial need. So we can deploy our application in this building while maintaining a subset of a feature to satisfy the visually impaired need. So the project is pretty interesting that I got to expose to many different fields and learn the challenge that people facing in the different jobs. And also I need to think about a solution of how we can leverage the different data source and to help people to mitigate their daily challenges.
All right, thank you, Jen. So next for this question, we would have Siwen.
Okay, hi everyone again. I'll just describe one project from my natural language processing side of my research scope. So right now I'm doing the research project with Rights Collab as a research fellow from Data Science Institute at Columbia. So this project applies natural language processing skills to mobilize investors on human rights. In human language, my work mainly focused on using text data as input, and I formulated a pipeline to extract word vectors and using those word embeddings to identify new relationships between labor-related human right risk and financial materiality. And in a broader perspective, this project can benefit workers while reducing reputational, operational, and legal risk for companies. And it's interesting to me in the sense that we're improving the manual approach in the past for social scientists and bringing new technologies to help with the society. That's it. Thanks.
Right, thank you, Siwen. So we would move on to Bilal.
Okay, so the project I like to talk about is basically what got me started on the PhD. It was like my first semester and computer vision class. So it was like a project for that. And this was like the height of the pandemic. So the pandemic just started, it was like June or like May of 2020. So what I did was I designed a system where you could like track like social distancing if people were social distancing using the CCTV cameras. And basically this was like a novel idea. So my professor, he was so impressed. He's like, we have to write an article on this because nobody's done it yet. So this was like the first time I got to know about this stuff. Like you do research, you write articles. So basically after that, I was able to publish my first article and that got me on there. And I was like, so that's basically the project that started off. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Bilal. So next would be Jay.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting projects I did was as a research assistant at my college. We were using cell phone data and cell phone geolocation data to study whether schools were closing during the pandemic and sort of measuring the intensity of school closures, and then sort of comparing that to existing databases on school closure to see, where they differed and how they failed. It was very interesting because we got to use a lot of different data sources. Obviously we had this raw cell phone data, but we also had existing databases from government, from research organizations, from universities, and trying to grapple with all of the different structures of that was a really, really interesting challenge. And we ended up doing a lot of analysis about, where our predictions fail and the characteristics of schools where our predictions fail. So we developed some really deep sort of social scientific insight into, where these algorithms and where these models, were less accurate. And there were some really interesting predictors and characteristics. And eventually we're going to publish a paper on this. And so it's a very exciting sort of research field, and our data will be able to be the basis for lots of academic studies in the future.
Thank you, Jay. So next is Jiawei.
Yes, I can share about like the recent project. I'm working on a course project, and it's a very big group project. It's about the brain tumor classification and segmentation. In this project, we just follow the regular pipeline, like find the interset, find the data set, find the suitable data set, and then we do a brainstorm to talk about which maybe which machine learning algorithm or deep learning algorithm we want to apply to this project. And then we figure out in this project, it's really interesting is that since we know brain tumor is a big cancer in the brain field. So it's better we can as soon as early as possible to detect the tumor. So in this case, we like generate a different machine model to try to compare their accuracy and try to using deep learning and see if I can further detect the segmentation for the tumor. So yeah, that's why the reasoning.
Right. Thank you all for sharing your interesting projects you're working on. So moving to the next question, we have 3 panelists, and each one of you would have 3 minutes each. And for the other 2 panelists, if you would like to add something, feel free to add that as well at the end. So our next question is, what steps should a student take in high school or in college in order to best prepare themselves for continuing their data science journey post-graduation? So we would begin this question with Siwen.
So from my perspective, I think it's better to have a general idea of how data science is applied to each domain in this world first, whether you're in high school or college, before you really step into data science. For example, there are data science in medicine, biology, laws, computer vision, etc. Very broad perspective you can look into. So the best idea is to use free materials online, articles, articles from Medium. I think it still works best for me right now, even if I'm really in data science right now. So it's better if you can even do some projects they proposed in those articles, some GitHub repos, and it's best if you can have your own idea to do a project, because I think it's pretty fun if you can learn from tackling your own problems. Yeah, so that's my suggestion. Thanks.
Right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to Jen.
So I think it's very important to take a different elective class that you will be offering in the high school or even like the first 2 years of the college, because the data science is more like a collaborative effort that can apply to multiple fields. So it's very important to keep yourself open-minded, also observe the new knowledge, and also to find out which field was most interesting to you. And my suggestion in the high school, you probably can apply to the summer tech camp, just that to train your basic knowledge on the coding or the critical thinking, also for the team collaborations. And when you enter college, you definitely can apply to the summer internship. And that could be related to the data analysis, data management, or even just a software development, just to learn how you can apply your knowledge into this real world problem and just get familiar with the tools that will be used in the real job environment. And you might feel that data science grow very quickly. So more tools are invented recently. So what you learn in school probably will not be enough for you. So you really need to go out to have those hands-on experience. And also you can participate in the different data science hackathons. So you can meet like a different data science expert and to showcase yourself. And most importantly, just to meet for different company and have a potential to get a job opportunity. And lastly, if you are interested in the research, I would recommend you to find a mentor in the college just to guide you through. But each professor will have a different like a research expertise. So just be careful when you're actually taking the one. Yeah, so there's just so many opportunities there. Just be prepared as the opportunities come, you are ready for it.
All right, thank you, Jen. So we'll move on to Bilal.
Yeah, so Siwen and Jen put up before like really good points that mostly what I was going to say as well. So one thing I would add though is like most of the people, even me, when I was starting, really fall into this trap of like trying to move very fast. Like you look up projects online, it's like how to do sentiment analysis on Twitter and stuff like that. And you start following these projects, but you don't know how the model works. You're just copy pasting the code or stuff like that. That looks good on a CV or like on GitHub, but it's gonna come back to bite you because you don't even know, like understand the basics of how neural networks work and stuff like that. So I would suggest like start from the basics, get your foundation strong, because like that's gonna really help you because you'll be able to understand the projects a lot better, and that's one of the things. Other thing I would say I would add is like try to ask your like, especially if you're in college, try to ask your professors for stuff because like when I'm working with my professor right now, we have projects where like tasks are like trivial to us, but for you guys it would be like a learning process. So you could like work with us and like learn from us, and something that would be really helpful for you guys. I would suggest that. Other than that, internships, I think Jin and Siwen covered that perfectly. And try to get internships. Internships really helpful. And don't even only look for like Google or Microsoft and stuff like that. Even if you get like a startup, that's really helpful because in startups, like most of you're like really independent. So there's a lot of self-learning. You do a lot of stuff yourself, like a lot of stuff. Like if you go into big companies, it's just one thing. But I'm just trying to say you'll know more stuff if you like try to diversify with your internships. Other than that, yep. Boot camps, internships, projects. That's it. Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Thank you all for sharing your advice. And if Jay and Jiawei, if you have anything to add, we're happy to listen to you. Okay, Jay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I second what everyone before me said. I think data science is sort of inherently interdisciplinary. And I think that's a really good thing because there's lots of different ways you can get involved. So, even if you have no background or education with data science, there's a lot of potential ins. There are courses in, for example, biostatistics if you're interested in biology, in econometrics if you're interested in economics. Even pure statistics or computer science courses. So I think. Data science doesn't have to be sort of like one subject. You don't have to go out and take a course on data science. There's so many different, data science is a huge topic. So if you take a course in a particular area that's really interesting to you, you might end up learning data science skills from there. And it'll get you sort of an introduction maybe in a part of the field that's most interesting to you. So I think it's helpful to look for particular keywords, whether it's, deep learning, neural networks, natural language processing. All of these things are different areas of data science that, you might just get a particular piece of, or you might just get an introduction to, but you shouldn't discount it just because you're not learning the entirety of data science. Data science is a huge field, and you'll have plenty of time to learn it. But just focus on, sort of building skills individually, one at a time. There are online courses, there are courses through, community colleges, through state colleges, through other universities. So I would say start small and don't be afraid to start learning, one thing at a time. And then over time, it becomes easier and easier to learn more and more things after you've gotten that foundation.
Thank you, Dave, for sharing. Jiawei, if you have anything to add or no? Okay, great. So we'll be moving on to next question. And for this question, our panelists would have 3 minutes each to answer. So our question is, how do I get started in this field if I have no background or education with data science or software tools? So we begin with Jay on this one.
Yeah, I think a really good thing is there are lots of free resources out there that can help you get started. One example is like the Natural Language Toolkit. That's an entire library of tools for natural language processing. And it actually comes with a really accessible, free online text that you can read, and it'll help, even if you don't know Python, even if you don't know anything about natural language processing, it'll help you build up from the very basics. That's certainly one of the things I'd recommend is finding, a book to guide you through, because just jumping in and trying to learn, for example, all of the syntax of Python, it can get a little, maybe you're more interested in computer science purely than I am. But I think, computer science without some application is less interesting to me than doing a project around a really interesting field. So find, there are plenty of things, plenty of books out there that focus on a particular thing that you're interested in, and read them, and they will, sort of teach you from the beginning the skills that you need to learn, assuming no knowledge of Python or anything like that. There are other sort of accessible tools. I mean, there's so many languages to learn that it can be helpful to keep in mind what sort of your goal is. If you're someone who's interested in doing economics and econometrics, there are particular tools that are going to be much more valuable to learn than others. For example, Stata is a program that is used very widely in social science research, but not in other disciplines. So if you're interested in social science research, it can really help to look at an online course around Stata, or look at introductory slide decks, which are online around particular tools that you're interested in, because they will help you sort of learn the ropes without throwing you in the deep end and having you learn everything from scratch. So I'd say that the two things to really keep in mind, if you have no background or education, is to think of an area you're interested in, particular field, whether it's economics, whether it's biology, whether it's computer science itself, or something else. And also to take a look at particular software, read about what is aligned with your interests and what tools those people use, because the tools that people involved in biostats are going to use are very different from the people who are involved in business analytics, for example. So I would say keep those two things in mind. And then once you do that, there are plenty of free resources out there, and plenty of slideshows, books, other materials online that will help guide you through all this.
Great. Thank you, Jay, for sharing. Next, we have Jiawei.
Yes, so I think for me, like data science is the general term. Like it's talking about the skills. How can you analyze like data? How can you visualize it, discover some insight from this data? So even you have no background, no education, if you find some interest in some domains, you can still can do some project about that. My mentor always tell me that you can learn from the project. When you doing a project and you encounter some problems, and you will try the research, you will try your best to do the research. You can find any resources from internet like Stack Overflow, like Medium, or anything, or any articles to figure out how can I solve this problem. I think the first step is try to move forward, try to find something you have interest, right? And then if you don't have those solid foundation, maybe you can go to some free sources like Coursera, like DataCap, to take some classes about those concepts, theorem, to understand those foundation first when you move forward. After that, I think you can learn Python or any other programming language during a project. That's no problem. And you will also get fun without only looking at the syntax. Like it's very boring when you want to learn the Python or R or any Java. Like Jay said, you are not a computer science student. Don't learn everything like this. You can just enjoy, have fun in the project. That's what I suggest.
Thank you, Jiawei. So last we have Siwen.
Yeah, I think pretty much Jay and Jiawei said everything about it, but also me answering the last question, we're emphasizing the importance of projects. But I also know, I also want to emphasize another scope of this question, is that if you're not interested in projects at all, or you're in the state that you can't find what you're actually interested in data science, so you just want to get started, maybe you want to find a job or anything realistically, but so it wouldn't be wrong if you start to do something that you'll definitely encounter in your future study of data science. For example, you can start to learn probabilities, you can start to learn linear algebra, matrix, because you'll use these things a lot no matter what you decided to focus in the future. So that was my suggestion for you guys. Thanks.
All right, great. So thank you all panelists for sharing such useful information to our audience and also us the moderators here as well at NSDC. So at this moment, I'll pass on the virtual mic to Haley.
Thank you so much, Benji, for moderating that really engaging panel discussion. Thank you to all the panelists for such insightful tips and tricks on like how to really jumpstart your own careers in data science, just like as a student. I really appreciated that. And I'm going to take a lot of that to heart with like, my own journeys with data science as well. So thank you all so much. So before we get into the Q&A session, I want to speak on some resources and events that the NSDC is hosting. And these resources will really be great for you all to use if you want to learn or teach more about the world of data science. So first we have the Learner Central, and here you can learn data science at your own pace. Whether you're just getting started or you want to learn advanced tips and techniques, you can find resources here to help. So there are resources regarding data science ethics, the basics of data science, all the way up to computer programming. So like our attendees have mentioned, if you're looking to get started with R, SQL, Python, any language really, you can visit the Learner Central to get started or practice your skills. We also have Educator Central, where educators can find a wide range of resources and materials to develop or broaden a data science program. And you can find programs and resources here from a lot of different institutions, including Columbia University, also University of Rochester, Queensborough Community College, and more. So you'll also find data sets here to help create research projects or practice questions for students. And also this is a good resource just to like see what projects are out there. I know a few panelists mentioned, getting started with projects. So this is a really great resource for that. We also have the video library, which has 5 to 15-minute videos recorded by data science students using the IBM Open Data Science for All GitHub content, SQL, and R educational materials created by student volunteers and more. So you'll find videos from introductory courses all the way to machine learning and data science use cases here. So feel free to check all of that out. Next slide, please. Great. So we also have free resources for chapter and career development. If you are wondering how to start your data science career, you may leverage the Career Central, where you'll find the latest job listings, resume tips, and practice materials for interviews. We have our Chapter Central, which I'll cover in our next slide. And we also have our Volunteer Central. So the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub has a program called the Real Volunteers, or Research Experience and Leadership volunteers. And so the Real Volunteers is a group of students who donate their time and skills to content creation and development. So we offer opportunities to facilitate online events, curate resources, all while learning about data science and its real world applications. So if you're interested in joining this program, please apply on our website at nebigdatahub.org/NSDC, and we'd love to have you all as a part of this kind of ever-growing community. Next slide, please. Okay, so our NSDC chapters has extended, or it is extending the NSDC's mission of creating a community of support for its members, extending it through local community development initiatives for underserved and underrepresented communities and learners. So we provide mentorship, research opportunities, and career opportunities to launch their data science journeys. So the chapter system has 4 main objectives. First is education, community development, project-based collaboration, and internship and career opportunity enablement. So we now actually have 4 institutional chapters from Temple University, University of Houston, Clear Lake, Johns Hopkins University, and Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UC San Diego. We also have 4 growing regional chapters in the Northeast, Southwest, and Midwest regions. So you can apply online to start or join one of these chapters. And because these localized support systems can really provide you with free resources, mentoring opportunities, networking opportunities, and more, I think this is also a very valuable kind of avenue to to suggest. So if you'd like to join this great network and opportunity, you can email us or visit our website and then fill out an interest form. And we'd love to have you all join this pretty expansive network. So our last program I'd like to mention is the NSDC's Inaugural Data Science Symposium. The NSDC DSS will provide a virtual forum for undergraduate and graduate students at private, public, and community colleges who are interested in data science to present their research, learn more about academic research best practices, and network with other data science students and grow their data science knowledge and community. So a participant may present research that has already been completed or may leverage the NSDC DSS program resources, including mentoring sessions and workshops to assist them in designing and completing their projects. So submissions include a one-page virtual poster board, a short audio video presentation, and a short abstract, which is due by June 15th. And you can find more information and examples of these on our website. We host a mentoring session every month, like I said, to assist the NSDC explorers, also known as the student participants, with the progression of their projects. And you can learn more about our theme challenges and project prompts that we've created to inspire your research on our website. We are also currently looking for judges. So if anyone's interested or has someone to nominate, you can apply on our page. And so now we will get into the Q&A session. First, I want to kick this off with a poll for you, the attendees, to vote on what the following question you want all the panelists to answer is. So we will have that up and running shortly, and so you all can vote on that. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, I see the panel questions. Perfect. So the three questions is, what advice would you have given to your high school self? What excites you most about the future of data science? And which of your classes has left the most impact on you and your studies? So I unfortunately cannot see the poll at this time. I can only see the questions, but Florence or Emily, if you'd like to.
Yes, I'm watching the poll. The votes are coming in.
I'm going to give it a couple of seconds and just wait for a few more people to respond.
Great.
Okay, I think it's pretty full. So I can, are you sharing results, Laura?
I am indeed.
Okay, great. Can you see them, Haley?
Yes, so results are in, and with 53% of you all interested in this question, our next question to our panelists will be, which of your classes has left the most impact on you and your studies? So I'm just gonna leave it open for any of the panelists to answer. I think this is a really, really substantial question that I'm also interested in hearing about. So take it away, anyone.
Okay, Jay, you can go first. Oh, wait.
Okay, yeah, you go after. Yeah, it may not surprise you if my answer will probably not surprise you, but I took an econometrics course, which I found really, really insightful. It focused on causal inference, which is, using mathematics and using data to identify, beyond correlation, like, the causes of particular causes and impacts of particular policies or changes. And I thought it was really impactful because, so much of the debate in data science is about correlation and causation. And this was actually focused on methods that we could use to finally answer that debate. And it's a really powerful tool to answer really relevant questions about the real world. It also, going through that course, looked at a lot of famous economics papers, for example, on the effect of being drafted into the Vietnam War on people's future, mental health outcomes and income. And a really salient question we answered the entire time was, what's the real effect of going to school on your earnings? And, is school mainly sort of a sorting mechanism for, where people who have a lot of motivation would already go to school? Or does it really have a causal impact on a particular person that improves their ability to earn and improves their health outcomes or life satisfaction, different things like this? Turns out education does have these impacts. So school is a very good thing, and it's good to know that. But I thought that course was really fascinating because it just allowed us to answer so many really important questions with so much certainty. And it used all of these data science skills, all of this economic theory, and really combined them in such an interesting way. So I definitely say that course was the most impactful.
If I could ask you to explain a little bit more about that, Jay. I think correlation and causation, I don't know that everybody gets the nuances between that, but I find it very interesting, and it's very important in data science, right? And as you assess information to understand it better, can you explain that a little bit for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best examples of it is if you plot the graph of ice cream sales and home invasions, they look very, very similar over time. If you look at that graph, they're very, very similar. The reason is because not like eating an ice cream cone is going to make you more likely to break into someone's house, but the fact is they're both caused by warm weather. So in warmer weather, people buy more ice cream, and in warmer weather, people are more likely to break into your home. And that's a strong correlation, but it's caused by something else. And so causal inference tries to control for all of these different things and use these really different strategies, leveraging large data sets and particular algorithms to identify whether something's a correlation like that or whether there's some cause that's underlying something. And so you could, for example, determine the effect that a 1 degree increase in temperature on a given day would have on ice cream sales or on home invasions, but you would determine that there's no causal impact between the two because they're just correlated. So interesting example like that.
Very memorable example. Thank you very much.
So I would say that the course that has the most impact out of the data sciences course that I took would be the big data course. I feel like it's like a course on its own. Like if you didn't do the master's, you just took the big data course, you could work in big data. Like you get to learn so much stuff, like so much new stuff for me. Like I didn't know what PySpark was, what Hadoop was. Like you need all these stuff if you want to work with like big data and stuff like that. Other than that, I would say like people have their own nuances and their like idiosyncrasies. So some course might have an impact on you that's not that impactful for other people. For me, that was like computer vision. It just stuck a chord with me. It's like, I really loved that course. I was like, because I have a thing for images and videos. So, but that wouldn't work for everyone. But the big data course and the machine learning course, I would say are like really good courses. All right, that's basically it.
Thank you both so much. Those seem very interesting and also very impactful, especially the big data, because big data can seem initially intimidating, but if you take a course on it and really get your hands dirty with it, you can like learn how to manipulate it for your own liking and your own interests, which is really, really interesting. I want to give this opportunity to any of the other panelists to answer this question. If you have a really, impactful course that you took over your years as a student that has really helped you with your data science journeys.
I would say it would be the data visualization course. So it's like before I even taking that course, I just getting the data and then just start play with the data. But actually the data visualization is very important part. After I take that, it's because it's going to show different like outlier situation. And also it just aware of me that all the data I receive, you cannot just trust, because it could be like the air data or just like on the manual input or even the sensor data could be wrong because for different factors. So visualization is very important part just for you to get a sense. And also this could probably give you some insight for the question that you try to answer.
Another really important one. Yeah, data visualization matters so much, especially with trying to communicate, your research and your data to people who aren't necessarily familiar with data and all these different strategies of accumulating it. So thank you all for that. Awesome. So we will jump now into the Q&A. First, I can have Benji pose the first question to the panelists from the Q&A.
Yes. So the first question from the Q&A is, if we do not have a data science degree, should we just take online classes, or should we get skill certificates to enter a career in data science?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So if we do not have a data science degree, should we take just online classes, or should we try to get skill certificates to enter a career in data science?
Good question. So I would say, I'll try to go for start with online classes. If you feel comfortable with them, try to go for the certifications then, because that's something more concrete and you can use it on a resume. Online classes, although you have edX and Udemy, so you could use the certificates from that on your resume. But I would feel all courses would be a better thing on your resume. That's just my opinion. I would say that's how you should do it. Yeah. Anybody else has something to say on this?
Yeah, also I think if you go to the courses, you can meet mentor or other very good professor, then they can guide you, walk through and solve any problem that you may not solve with online resources. That is pretty helpful. So yeah, that's what I want to add.
Great.
Yeah, networking, that's really important.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yes, I agree with that. Networking is very huge for that. Okay, we can move on to the next question. And this is specifically to Sivan. So this is a question from David. Music information retrieval sounds very interesting to him, as he is a music producer and is also currently pursuing a data science track. So what real world applications can music information retrieval be used for? How and why did you personally narrow down the specific fields? And what steps and resources would you recommend for people interested in music information retrieval to start learning about this?
Okay, thanks for the question, Debbie, because I wouldn't expecting anyone who's asking questions specific to me about music information retrieval. So I'm glad you find it interesting, because that was exactly how I feel 2 years ago, because I just jumped right into this field 2 years ago. And before that, I was nothing about music except I had a music hobby, playing instruments all the time, but I was not professionally doing it. And I was doing something else like engineering, data science, but I never connected to music. So this kind of field just gives me an opportunity to connect my passion with my career. And I would say the application of the most cutting edge research right now are still in progress, sort of hiding in the research group of companies such as OpenAI and Google Brain. And some of the applications example I can give are the algorithm in music stream apps like Apple Music, Spotify. So that was audio-based music analysis and recommendation, or hum to speech or hum to search. So that was mainly dealing with music data, and it's not constrained to any type of data, but like lyrics, it's text data, and the audio and the MIDI data, if you know what the format is. So that was the application you can imagine, and how I personally narrowed down, as I explained just now, that I had no idea before I jumped into this field. But I as I learn more in this, before I really like jump right into this, I just like search for a lot of materials online, and I go for those people I really want to be. For example, those researchers. I don't know them at all before I really like get into this field, but as I know more about how I determine to do this in the future, I'll just approach those people, like those researchers, those professors, to ask them how they do it, how they did this, how they make this. So I'll just follow their steps. I think it would be a suggestion for you if you wanted to do this in the future too. And resources, there are a lot of resources online. And if you just search music information retrieval with these 3 words, you'll get a lot of things, a bunch of things just popped out on Google. Especially, but it's although it's like a small community, but there is also a lot of aspect in this one field. So you can like browse them and choose one project that you're really interested in, and you just dive deep into that. I think it would be a good start. Thanks. You can ask me more if you have more questions.
Thanks, Sivan, for that. And it's such an interesting crossing of like 2 different fields. And I know like one thing that, you know, panelists always say when it comes to data science in these panels is that data science will evolve and evolve and evolve to, you know, cross with so many different industries. So I'm so excited to see where this takes you and where kind of the music industry in regards to data science will go in the near future. So now I'll pass the mic off to Benji to pose the next Q&A question.
Yeah, thank you. So our next question here is, what are the most common software tools you use in your classes or your specific areas of interest for those of you in like master's programs and so on? And which coding languages and software tools should one prioritize in those specific fields you are interested in? So any of you can go first if you'd want to go. Sounds like Jay wants to go.
Sure. Yeah, I can just talk briefly. If you're interested in social science research or you know, academic research more broadly, Stata, R, and Python tend to be the most common languages, but it really depends on what tasks you're trying to do. So if you're trying to do machine learning, then R and Python are going to be more common. If you're trying to do sort of less advanced stuff or traditional regression and econometrics tasks, then Stata is really important. So I would say before you jump into a language, it's important to know exactly what you're trying to do, because certain languages are going to be better than others, but you can really never go wrong learning Python. So I would say if you're just a generalist looking to do anything, Python's a great idea, but there are other specific ones that you can learn as well.
Yeah, I would agree with Jay. Python has like a lot of adoption and open source libraries. So if you're looking for a task, it's probably somebody already did it and made a library for it. So it's going to be easier for you if you want to start with Python, because Python is like more, even the syntax is like more human speech than the like more complicated languages. So it would be like a good start for you.
In addition to Python, I think R is also a great tool, especially when you're dealing with data mining or statistical inference. It's just in some specific topic, it is like easier when you do it in R.
Great, thank you so much for those insights. I am indeed a data generalist, so I actually started with Python, but since I'm a psych major, I do a lot of research using R, so it's really cool that you all brought those 2 up especially. I want to pose a question from Kevin in the as an attendee. So he said, what challenges were the hardest to overcome in your journey in data science? So how about either Jiawei or Jin take a stab at this one? This is a really interesting one.
Okay, I can do that. So I think for most of the data scientists or even students in data science, they will get headache of the data cleaning part. So when you get into a project, you have to clean the data. And if you don't understand the data, you are not an expert, has no any expertise on this domain, then you have to do lots of research about those data cleaning. You maybe have to interview some professor, like expert, to can you tell me what features is important in this data, because you want to make sure the model is accurate and can be training by the important features, right? You want to do some feature selection about those data. So I think that the most headaches part is data cleaning. And in terms of like choosing different machine learning algorithm, that part will be kind of easy compared to like data cleaning. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's my answer. Yes.
Cool. For me, it would be a little bit. It definitely data cleaning is one of the major part, but another part that I'm fixing is to doing some data project with the field that you are not very familiar with. Like for me, the emotion recognition with the brain signal. That I don't have any background knowledge in the neuroscience part. So in that, like, and then when I run those machine learning model and the result is not expected, and it's pretty low, and that I actually need to go back to talk with the expert to learn all like different process that they are usually to handle with, and to really get a deep understanding of the data, and then to a lot of time to move backward and start from the beginning again, see if anything is getting wrong. Because especially in the coding, it could be a small, like a plus or minus sign, or even a parenthesis that you forget to put on, and all the result is like wrong. So those things I need to be careful and also like struggle all the time to make sure everything is correct.
Thank you both for that. So I'll have Benji pose the next question.
Yeah, for our next question, we have, are there any resources or social media accounts that you would like to promote that help students enter the field of data science and also possibly get job opportunities?
Mine.
Can you come again?
No, I usually don't have one. I don't. I would say probably like if you want to learn about like statistics, Khan Academy is like pretty good in that. If you want to learn basics on that. Other than that, there's a book online on neural networks that teaches you exactly how back propagations work and stuff like that. I could post the link in the chat, but that's like the book I started with. Just like gives you the complete basics on everything. So that's pretty good. It's not a social media account. I think that's a pretty good place to start if you want to go into like neural networks and stuff like that.
This is also not a social media account, but I think just Twitter in general is a really good way to find lots of different accounts that are interested in data science. You know, it allows you to look at specific topics, and there's always people tweeting about, you know, I've just developed a new library to do this, or here's an interesting visualization. So I think there's a pretty big Twitter community around machine learning, around data science, around data visualization. And so it's generally not particular accounts, but there will be different experts on different things, and that community is very good.
Yeah, I can just quickly add to that. I'm not a huge social media person, but I have an Instagram and a LinkedIn. And I do notice that the data science community is growing on Instagram a lot. There are people posting their journeys. There are people posting like overviews of their interview processes. There are accounts that post SQL interview questions, 1 every day, 5 every day, or Python questions, things like that. And then LinkedIn also, if you just type in data science into that bar up top, you'll find this huge list of resources. A lot of accounts will share like PDF versions of cheat sheets, things to prepare you before interviews, different coding, pieces of information. So if you go looking for it, it will definitely be there.
Thank you, everyone, including Emily, for those little tips and tricks. So moving on to our next question from the Q&A. This is from Cameron. So they are freshmen in their undergraduate data science program. And after their first year in college, they're looking for ways to gear up for the upcoming semester. As someone who's able to look at their own college experience, what would you say is the best way to prepare and gain experience over the summer?
I think definitely will be the ensure the summer internship that's really helpful and useful, and especially for my internship experiment while I entered there. Actually, what I learned in school is not really the tool that they are actually using in the company. So it's a brand new experiment that you're going to learn, like a new language or even the new software, and then after everything I learned and then I go back to school, I actually can use the learning that I found in the internship and apply on the classes. So that's a very important way for you just to see the real world problem and then to see what's actual tools that I've been using out there.
And I think beside the internship, if you cannot get any internship, you can try to find some workshop or any hackathon to attend, to participate. And also you can try to develop some side project by yourself and see what real problem you want to solve and see what domain you have interest in, and to prepare some knowledge in advance that will be better for your future, even the semester or even the future, your career. Yes.
I think there's a lot of great opportunities out there. One thing that's happening right now, or is accepting applications right now, is the Google Summer of Code program, where you can get paired with an open source coding project, and you can sort of build your experience and get a really, really strong, credible project to work on that, will really help you build your skills. That's sort of more on the coding side as opposed to purely data science. There are, I know, some data science projects up there. There's also, for example, if you look at university research groups, there are groups like the elections labs or particular organizations at universities that you can write to and talk about if you want to use their data sets or you want to contribute to one of their research projects. They are often looking for people who are interested in their work. So even if there's no formal application or formal position, there may be something they need just a couple hours a week where you can work and build your data science skills on a project that interests you. So I would say look at university research groups more broadly. Maybe it's in generally in applied topics, so not pure data science or computer science, but looking at a particular topic like economics or like political science or even a topic in the humanities. They will often look for contributors to their projects. So I would say look at university research groups as a great way that you can work on a concrete project, work with experts, but not have to commit 40 or 50 hours a week to working with them.
Great. So if no one has anything to add, and for those who have engaged in data science internships, which may be all of you, what does a data science internship look like, and what have you learned from your past internships that you would you'd like to share with everyone? Any of you can go.
So I basically had 2 internships. I started off with the data analytics internship. That was a really basic one because that was just basically the start of my journey. But I learned what data and real world data looks like. It was basically data of onboarding customers that were like using a credit card service, or you could say a debit card. So I would get in like data about their names or their like ethnicities and stuff like that, and how much of the like what did they load the card or did they use it for some stuff, and I would have to clean it up and put it in a way so like make graphs out of that so that it was easily digestible. That was a basic internship, but it taught me a lot about like real data, and it can be messy and you have to clean it up, stuff like that. And also I had another one where I worked with my professor, and we worked with diabetes patients. We analyzed, like we had held interviews with them, and then we learned their like qualms and like what they thought was lacking in the industry. We tried to come up with stuff to help them out and like try to make applications to like improve their lives. That's basically what I learned from both of them. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next Q&A question. This is from Emma. And she asked, is a graduate program important for data science? She is an undergrad and is hoping to get started with her career when she graduates. So this is a specific question to all the graduates on the panel. What do you think should be considered when considering pursuing a graduate degree?
It's kind of important because when I'm doing my job search, a lot of jobs require that you have a master's degree in data science. So if you really want to go for the data science path, then you definitely need to take a master's degree. But there's also other side like data analyst. It's the difference from the data science, which I think you can start if you want to start a job career, you can start those kind of jobs after you graduate from the undergrad. But if you want to go to more higher, you definitely need to take it. But there's also alternative that you can go to data analyst job and then take the data science master's degree, or even a part-time or even after the job, and then go for it.
I would like to add that it is important to me because it was a switch for my path when I decided to take data science. Because I was doing engineering, and it's energy engineering. So and I decided to jump into music and data science. So it was like totally different path. So I would like to like take 1 year or two to help me get through this period when I wanted to switch. It took me a lot of like strength to do so because I have to like give up on everything I learned in the last 4 years, but almost, I mean, so that was important. I think it is important when there's a big gap between what you're doing before and what you want to do. But if you're doing something like math or computer science, I don't think you really need another data science degree. So that's my point.
I would like to say that I would say that if you're good at self-learning, you do not need like a graduate degree. Because the reason I took it was basically where I was living at currently was there's literally like no scope for data science. Nobody even talks about machine learning stuff like that. So I had to move to somewhere else so I could pursue that. So I started took a master's degree so I could move someplace else. I could learn over there. That's basically my motivation for that. But if I was able to do self-study, I would have taken that route. Like you do not need a master's degree to pursue a data science career. I don't like that. What I was. Yeah.
Thank you. And I want to go back to Jin's initial comments on, it being dependent on the, I guess, different career trajectory that you're pursuing. Because for like data analyst roles that I know have been very popular as a senior graduating undergrad, data science or data analyst roles always pop up on my feed. But could you give us a few examples, Jin, of job positions where you would need a master's in data science, or it's encouraged to have a master's in data science compared to just having an undergraduate degree in data science?
Yeah, so for data science, actually is more involving machine learning or like a high level processing, but data analyze, it could be just data cleaning, data exploring. So there's like a different things that you probably would need to get more like a higher language for like different models that you're going to use. Because on the undergrad course, they only talk pretty is like the fundamental, but there's like more advanced things that you can learn in the master classes, and those will be like a test you also like big data processing that might not always taught in the undergrad course, and those will be asked in the interview questions. Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. So I guess it's back to, what Siwen and Bilal were saying in terms of, a lot of this, it's more about kind of the progression of your data science education rather than, getting that specific degree. So learning more about big data or machine learning, taking those next steps, and just really how you can access it more than, what the degree says. So thank you all for that clarification and, sharing more about that.
I think it's also just quickly to mention, myself, I was looking through a bunch of data positions. I've looked at different roles, things like that. And I think that there is a difference between positions that ask for a higher degree and a position that asks for a higher amount of experience. So some people will ask for a portfolio. Some people think that that's more important to their role than maybe a higher degree is. Some people, don't care as much about getting a 4.0 as they do as seeing what you can do hands-on through previous work and things like that. So I would just look around and see what fits yourself. If you feel like you're someone who really likes doing hands-on projects instead of going to a graduate program, then there are definitely open positions for you. And there are positions for people who want to go up and up and get all the degrees that you can in this field. Both are equally as impressive, and there are tons of roles looking for that kind of experience. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to say. You articulated it better.
We got it as a team, Bilal.
All right, so moving on to our next question, we have here this so it's a SQL or SQL, as some people call it, Python and Tableau enough to be a data analyst? So maybe if Jiawei or Jay, if you would want to go.
Yeah. So I think this question is kind of like, if you only know like the syntax of those like programming language, I think you're not reach that level for employment. So it really depends on your experience. Like if you have some project experience, you know how to discover and reuse those inside of those data, and you can make some really good report for your company, and you can analyze it detailedly. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much enough for you to do the data analysis, especially like, but specifically, except like Tabular, there are other tools to do that. Like for example, if you're familiar with programming language, then you might hear about like D3, something like that. So you can learn more if they want more, they expect more from you. So it not only depends on limited to you have to be like motivated. You have to like learn everything, like move forward better. Yes.
Jay, did you want to add something?
Well, yeah, I second what Jiawei said. And I think it also really depends on what, more so than any particular language, what you're able to do with the language is really important. And so, Tableau is a lot more common in using business data and sort of in sort of the private sector a lot more. And so that's going to be a skill that is more useful in particular jobs, particular roles. So I think it's really important to, before, I think it's easier to narrow down what you need to learn based on what you're trying to do rather than the other way around. Just because so many different areas use so many different skills that if you try to, if you're going to try to learn them all or learn a particular set of languages or tools, then it may end up that something you're really interested in ends up not using those tools. So it's good to have a foundation. It's good to understand a bit of coding, a bit of statistics, a bit of the data cleaning process, and have those skills. And then when you have an idea of what you want to do, then it's going to be easier once you have those skills to try to transfer over to a language that is more useful in that role. So like I said, you're not going to go wrong learning Python and learning SQL. And those are really good languages to build skills in. But ultimately, not every job in the world is going to use them, and not every role. And so it's really important to have an understanding of what you want to do and then to be able to tailor your skills to that. But as a start, I think those are perfect skills. Those are really good ones to have. And so having learned those, you'll have a lot of flexibility to be able to learn the skills that you want to know. So hope that helps.
So moving on to another question from the Q&A. So which one is more popular in industry, Tableau, otherwise data visualization, or big data? I know a few of you talked about this earlier with, what were your hardest things to overcome with data science. So yeah, if you just like to touch on that or expand on that notion a bit more in terms of Tableau or big data.
I think it really depends on what career you are looking at. Like big data is more focused on the career called data engineer. They will do something about like data administration, and they will care about like streaming data. Like you say, you want to use PySpark, like Hadoop, to deal with like tons of data. You want to scale out those data without handling or cost too much on the machine problem. So yeah, that's two jobs, I think. That's two positions over these topics. If you want to do something like data analysis, then you will look into Tableau. And if you want to look at the data engineer, I think you have to prepare some knowledge about big data. Yes, that's how I understand it.
Okay, maybe we can move on to the next question. So Benji, if you want to pose that question, and then I'll pose one final Q&A question, and we'll move on to the thank yous.
So one question we have here is, what was there a time when you ever felt unprepared for a role in data science or a class you were taking, and how did you handle that? If Bilal, Siwen, if you'd want to take on that.
Sure, I can talk a little bit. So so that would be like my first internship. I was like completely unprepared because I didn't know how to do this stuff at that time. So I was I was upfront with them, because the thing is, I just told them I'm like a really fast learner. I might not know this stuff now, but give me like 2-3 weeks, I'll be like your best employee. Kind of exaggeration, but you have to do that. Like, so yeah, so that was the case, and they hired me, and I proved myself. So basically, you got to work hard if you feel like you're not qualified. But I believe even if you're not qualified, if you like a job position, you should apply for it. Like they might call you in, and they might get impressed by your like interview. So that's basically what I did, and I got hired. So that's my answer to the question.
I think I saw one post on LinkedIn one day that says nobody is qualified for, which simply just means like you don't have to be qualified for every job description you saw to apply, because like they're just listing the ideal candidate, but like but everyone is different, and we're not like educated to fit into that specific role, but like we have different aspects that they might admire like during the application process, and you need to show them like who you really are instead of just trying to like fit into every aspect they talked about in the job description. Well, that was like the ideal option, but if you have anything else to talk about that you're proud of, that they might be interested in, it's a very good option to do that too.
I just want to say that's really inspiring. And I think a lot of people listening will feel a sense of relief after hearing that. Because especially when you're new to looking for different roles and positions and you jump in and you see this long list of 15 different coding languages, all of these software tools, everything that you need to know, classes you didn't even take, it makes you so worried, and just you start feeling like you're less than, and you're not. And just like you said, if you have other things to you, you don't have to fit every single, I've heard there's like an 80-20 rule. If you have 80% of the requirements, apply for it. I've heard even less than that. So I thank you for saying that. I think a lot of our participants and our attendees really appreciate that insight. I'll pass it back to Haley now.
Yeah, that was a perfect note to finish on. So yeah, I'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of this panel event. A very special thank you to the panelists for sharing your insights, just being very transparent with, all the things that you've learned, everything you've had to overcome regarding data science and just as students. And a huge thank you to our outreach team. A virtual round of applause to my co-moderator, Benji, for leading the panel discussion and kind of always being a team player, as well as our facilitators, Leica and Kaylin, who will be drafting the blog post for this event. Thank you to Lauren, who's currently live streaming and has always played an instrumental role in our backend support, not only with the panel series, but with every NSDC initiative that I've mentioned today. And Emily, who has just been an invaluable member of our team. Like, she's really been the brain power behind the panel series ever since she's joined the team, from gathering the panelists, hosting the prep calls, creating the slides, agenda notes, really everything from preparation to execution. And the Hub's executive director, Florence Hudson, she is, as she mentioned, our angel from the outfields, always supporting us every step of the way. And Florence has really been here from the very first panel last February, so she can attest to the tremendous growth and success this panel series has undergone. So thank you each for your hard work, your collaboration, your contributions to making this event and this series so valuable and successful. And finally, thank you to everyone who tuned in today and who'll be watching the recording later. This would not be a success without all of you who attended. And we hope this panel was super helpful and rewarding, and please keep the conversation going.
Yes, and one quick thank you. So I'm going to cry. Haley and Benji are graduating and or retiring from the Hub, as I call it, their first retirement at a very young age. And we're really going to miss them. They've been here since the beginning, the creation of the Northeast Student Data Corps, which became the National Student Data Corps, and now it's international. And I really want to thank you, Haley and Benji, for growing with this. For helping to lead it, for being a role model for students all over the planet, and really for the professionals too that are so inspired that watch these panels. So thank you. We're going to miss you, but you'll be a part of the alumni organization. And so I know we'll keep in touch. And I want to thank Emily too, who joined as our NSDC program coordinator at the end of December, and Lauren as well. So you've all done a great job. And our new volunteers and panelists, it's really been a pleasure. So I guess I go to the next slide now.
That was very sentimental, Florence. Thank you. Yeah, and I'd just like to know, I'm also a student who didn't necessarily start out with data science, but who's definitely graduating with more data science knowledge and interest in the field, and how I can grow that to my own interests and likings for the future to come. So this project has just been very rewarding and yeah, invaluable for me, and I'm sure Benji as well. So as I mentioned earlier, connect with us, keep the conversation going. You can join our mailing list through this link, this bit.ly/NSDC news. Connect with us through LinkedIn, Twitter, our Slack channel, our Instagram, as well as our YouTube, which is where you can find the recording of this event and other panel series events. And once you tune off, you will get a Zoom poll after the webinar to tell us how we're doing. How do you enjoy the panel? What do you want to see in the future? So that we're really answering, your requests for the community and cultivating a wider data science community of learners and educators. If you have any extra questions, you can email us at nsdc@northeastbigdatahub.org. And with that said, thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a nice